The agenda, and then, tomorrow.
Oh, sí. Este es traductor, ¿verdad? Sí, para no escuchar bien. ¿Quieren sus opiniones?
¿Alguien más tiene interpretación?
Si quieren interpretación.
Sí.
Sí, porque yo no sé inglés, entonces ni le voy a entender. Entonces, gracias.
Ay, mira, ¿qué me llevaron?
Sí, tantas reuniones, ¿no? Como cuando hablan CPR en inglés. No vamos a hacer.
Entendía.
Oh, eso es.
Okay. It's already set. ¿Me escuchas bien, entonces?
Sí, muy bien, gracias.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the TTC meeting. Bienvenidos a todos. We'll start our meeting. So our meeting starts at 6:05.
Okay,
And we'll do roll call.
oh, well, actually, I'll give time for this
Oh.
to do the instructions.
So vamos a hacer la introducción de cómo navegar el sistema para la interpretación en Zoom.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. ¿Sí me pueden escuchar bien?
Yes, sí.
Voy a darles instrucciones de cómo acceder al canal de español. Dependiendo qué aparato esté usando o dependiendo si está en una computadora, usted va a ver en la parte inferior de su pantalla 3 puntitos o tal vez un icono terráqueo. Por favor, ubíquelo, selecciónelo. Usted va a ver Language Interpretation o interpretación y después va a seleccionar el canal que le corresponde. En este caso, le invitamos que se conecte al canal de español, así para que pueda escuchar la junta en español. Y después va a poner Mute Original Audio, así para evitar de que escuchen varias voces a la misma vez. Mi compañera va a hacer una prueba ahorita. Por favor, déjenos saber si es que alguien tiene alguna dificultad técnica. Aquí estamos para asistirles. E igual voy a poner las instrucciones en el chat. Muchas gracias.
Okay. I think. Let me just make sure all of the interpreters are in the room really quick. How did I do this? Okay. Pardon, I'm going to stop sharing just to do interpretation. Okay, Brittany, I'm going to move you over. No. Sorry, everyone, just a little bit of a technical difficulty. Okay, now you should be able to see my screen, and I will pass it back over to you, Malu.
Okay, we'll start with roll call. You want to take roll call?
Yep. All right, first up, Anjanette Aguilar.
Present.
Great. Alfredo Martinez.
Here.
Ken Samalo.
Here.
Jaime Alonso or a grid alternative representative.
Hello, Jocelyn Eckert here.
Perfect. Thanks, Jocelyn. Okay. Crystal Otworth, present. Jose Cruz.
Here.
Malu Huerta.
Present.
Bernardo Lino.
Are we missing? Oh,
Hmm?
are we missing now? Second page.
Oh, no. I think it would just, it'd be the rest of the committee members.
Yeah.
Bernardo Lino. Okay. Absent. Jose Manso. Perfect. Thanks, Jose. Olivia Rodriguez Mendez.
Present.
Raul Zendejas. Oh, Arnie is here. Raul Zendejas. Okay, absent. I did see Bernardo put in the chat that he is here. His audio is just not working. Great, we have quorum.
Okay, so we'll start the meeting. Welcome back, everybody. So we're here today, but before we start, we wanna just look at the background and the purpose of this grant. So I'll pass it back to Crystal just to go overview what's the purpose of our committee and the reason we are here.
Thank you. So this committee is made possible by the Transformative Climate Communities Grant, which funds community-led development and infrastructure projects that deliver environmental, health, and economic benefits to California's disadvantaged communities. So this grant not only is funding the committee, but is also funding various projects in the communities of Mecca and North Shore. So the first one is pre-development for the Community Resilience Center in North Shore. And what pre-development means is just in this phase, we are focused on the design of the projects as well as any work that is needed to make projects construction ready. So that includes completing like the environmental studies, finishing design plans for the various projects. And so like I mentioned, the first one is the Community Resilience Center in North Shore, and that one is led by the Desert Recreation District. We also have our partner Grid Alternatives, who is doing site assessments for solar readiness. So basically, they are there's 50 sites that they're assessing, looking at the roofs and any like the electrical panels to see what kind of upgrades are needed to be able to install solar panels at a future date. And we also have the Riverside County's Transportation Department, which is looking at active transportation improvements along Avenue 70, which includes bike lanes. Oh, I'm sorry, which includes bike lanes that go from, I believe it's 2nd Street and Hammond to 70th Avenue and Seaview Drive. They are also looking at potential proposed bridge improvements, one of which is potential bridge expansion along with an installation of a sidewalk. And the second option is looking at 2 pedestrian bridges. And we'll talk more about those today. The other one I missed is that the Grid Alternatives is also offering paid internships throughout this time. I think the only thing I'll add is that in addition to these projects, so those projects are what this committee is overseeing. It is not the same as the Mecca North Shore Community Council, which is essentially a place where you can come and bring the broader community issues that I know we hear about and we talk about, but that is a separate space from this committee. That's it.
Thank you, Crystal. So we only focus on this for projects. So you guys have any input, questions, concerns, this is the place to address them. So we'll move on to the next item, item number 4, and we'll approval for October 20 minute meetings in English and Spanish, and all those are posted under the Riverside County.
Yes, for this meeting, I did share the English meeting minutes in advance. Unfortunately, I did not have the Spanish ones available, but I can make those available by the end of this week, and then I'll send them over to Riverside County to be posted on the project website.
Does everybody agree with approval? All approve?
Yes.
So before we start, I want to open it to the public. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns before we start? This is the time.
If applicants on Zoom have any questions, feel free to also put it in the chat.
Sobre lo del puente, que tienes dos propuestas
Regarding the,
peatones y ampliar. ¿Se van a hacer las dos o nada más una?
for the pedestrians and for widening it, are you gonna do both or just one?
One will be selected. And
Pero con el grupo que estamos, ¿se va a seleccionar una? ¿O se va a hacer la propuesta para toda la comunidad para ver si están de acuerdo?
But with the group that's here, is that how you will do it, or will it be a proposal for the whole community? To see who's in agreement.
well, part of this committee is, so we've been sharing the design in this space. I'm happy to hear any feedback. The selection is also in partnership with the Riverside County Executive Office and the Transportation Department. So today they'll actually be giving us a presentation on the pros and cons of the various options. They'll be providing cost estimates, and they can share more about the selection process also during that portion of the presentation as well.
Sí, porque como si se va a ampliar el puente, ¿qué tanto se va a ampliar el puente?
Yes,
Mhm.
because
Y luego
the
se
bridge
van a-
is going to be widened, how much will it be widened?
Si es peatonal, ahorita creo que tú fuiste la que hiciste la presentación
And if it's for
de
pedestrians,
un video
I think it was you that did the
del
presentation.
tráfico y tú miraste que ahorita dos trailers o dos bases no pueden pasar por él.
There
por
was a
el puente.
video, where it showed that, right now, 2 trailers or 2
Tenemos una
buses can't
escuela
be
está muy
there
cerca.
at the same time.
Y es
We have a
peligroso.
school that's very close and it's
Es
dangerous.
peligroso para que caminen o los niños anden en bicicleta.
It's dangerous for the children to walk or to be on their bicycles.
Las lluvias, ahorita estuvo muy bien la reparación de las calles. Ya miramos que sí funcionó el proyecto que se hizo de calles.
With the rain,
Porque
we
no hay
saw that
muchas.
the repairs done to the streets have worked. It's been great.
Pero miro que si ponen peatones o bicicletas para los niños, hay pedazos o áreas donde todavía pasa para que sean seguros nuestros hijos poderse mover.
But there are areas
Sí, no se
for
que
pedestrians
no se
or
respetan
cyclists where our children
al dar la vuelta a la
need to be
izquierda.
safe, and there's a.
Ese es
Señora, perdón, ¿el semáforo?
un semáforo entre la 60 y usando el puente.
And there should be a
Yeah.
light between the 60 and crossing the bridge.
Thank you for those comments. I really do appreciate it. We have heard some of that, but appreciate it being raised again. The point of today, so we are gonna get the person who is leading this project is on the call. And so he's hearing all the feedback and he's noting it down, I'm sure. And he'll provide more information. It's the first thing on our project and funding updates, part of the agenda. And so Alfredo will be able to respond to some of those comments. Is there anything you want to add at this time, Alfredo?
No, I think once I go through the presentation and I show what the options are, I think that'll answer most of the questions.
Okay, gracias.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we start? Do you have any questions on Zoom?
Not that I'm seeing right now.
Okay, so we'll move on to the first project then. So we'll discuss the active transportation improvements for Avenue 70. So I'll give back to Alfredo. Thank you, Alfredo.
Sorry, Alfredo, if you're speaking, you are muted and we cannot hear you.
Okay. Did my presentation come up?
It is up. We can see the, yeah, I think there you are. Yep.
Okay. All right. My name is Alfredo Martinez. I work for the County of Riverside Transportation Department, and I'm going to talk about tasks 3 and 4 of the TCC grant. Task 3 is the 70th Avenue Bridge that was recently being discussed. Task 4 is the overall bike lanes. So the purpose of the project is to add approximately 9 miles of bike lanes between the intersections of 2nd Avenue and Hammond to the intersection of 70th Avenue and Seaview. And this will effectively connect the communities of Mecca to the community of North Shore. As part of the project, we are going to cross the bridge at Cleveland. So our part of our project was to study how we can get the pedestrians or cyclists through the bridge. I also want to mention that right now we are funded by the TCC grant to do the environmental document and 65% plans. So we are going to be seeking additional funds to keep the project moving forward. Here's a quick overview of the project limits. Is my mouse visible by any chance?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so this is the northerly intersection of 2nd Avenue and Hammond. There's a lot of different activities here for people to do. There's the new Triangle Park. There's the Gailey Center. I think there's a Boys and Girls Club here. And then we're going to be ending the project near the North Shore Community Park and the location of the new Resilience Center that's also funded by this grant. So this project will help tie both of the communities together to get these resources. So the first thing I wanted to go over is the environmental document. Part of, like I said, the TCC grant funds for the environmental document of both projects. As of this date, we've completed all of the right of entries so we can do our field studies. Basically, we needed to ask permission from different property owners to go onto their properties to see if there were any plants, animals that were endangered or need to be protected. As part of the field studies, a couple different memos or reports were written. The biological technical report, those are pretty much any plants or animals. The aquatic resources have to do with any streams in the area. See if there's anything protected in the water courses. Cultural resources, we consulted with the various tribes in the area to see if there was anything that they were sensitive to. So all of those are now done. So our next step is to prepare a draft environmental document that's going to summarize everything. That's going to then be circulated to the public for comment. So it's going to be posted at nearby libraries for anyone to review and make comments on. And generally it circulates for about 30 days. Once all the comments are received, we'll take any comments and incorporate them into the final environmental document. Our goal is to have the environmental document approved by our board by June of 2026. And that's basically to meet the funding deadline for the TCC grant. So right now, everything is on schedule. So it's looking like we're going to be able to finish everything we committed to by the funding deadline. Okay, here's the fun one. Project status of the 70th Avenue Bridge. So we also needed to do right of entries for the bridge. We needed to test the soil so that we can come up with a foundations report. Both of those are now done. In order for the county to select an alternative, we need to study it to make sure what's the most economically feasible. So we did study two alternatives, which actually turned into three. So the first alternative is to widen the existing structure. And this can be done in two ways. One of them is to do a precast structure, which means they build it off-site, they truck it in, and they move it in with the crane and drop it into place. The second option is a cast in place. This is your typical construction where they do false work, they form it, they pour it all on site. It's the same footprint, just two different ways of building it. Alternative number two is to construct two pedestrian bridges, one on either side of the existing bridge. This separates the pedestrians from the active traffic, which was one of the concerns that was brought up moments ago, that the bridge is too narrow and it's dangerous to have kids walking next to live traffic. So once an alternative is selected, then we will move forward with the 95% plans. So here's a detail of the bridge widening. So essentially, we're going to widen the bridge by about 29 feet. As you can see, we're going to have two 5-foot bike lanes. That's the CL2s that are mentioned here and here. 6-foot buffers and 12-foot lanes. And then we're also going to be doing a sidewalk on the north side. So pretty much this side, which is going to tie into the one that leads to the school. The second alternative is two pedestrian bridges. So basically, they're going to be built on either side, and they would be built in the ultimate location. So if the bridge did get widened, these could stay in place. So those are the two items that we studied. Here's a comparison of what they all cost. So I'm going to be honest, the cost difference was not as big as I expected. So alternative two is $1,020,000. Some of the benefits of this alternative are it's a little bit cheaper, but I mean, it's not by much. It can be, there's some aesthetics involved because it is a truss structure where the community can pick a look for how the structure is going to look at the end. There's some really nice ones out there. It does separate the bicycles from the pedestrians. And during construction, the bridge will remain unaffected, so traffic is not going to be impacted. The disadvantages for us is that we would have to maintain it, and the existing channel is maintained by CVWD, and they express concerns that it might be difficult for them to clean the channel once there's essentially three bridges in the way, the two pedestrian bridges and the existing bridge. The advantages of the cast in place, which is the CIP, is its common construction methods. It's basically forming and pouring. It's what a lot of contractors know how to do. It also doesn't require any heavy equipment near the channel lining. It's a lower cost compared to the CP. It's about $70,000 cheaper. and the maintenance of the structure itself would be done by Caltrans, and they would do bridge inspections and provide those reports to the county if there were any concerns. The downside is that there will be false work in the channel. So if this was built in times of rain, there's a concern that the false work, which is used to temporarily hold up the bridge during construction, could be washed out, and that could compromise the bridge. Another downside is that it requires post-tensioning. It's basically a way to get strength on the bridge. They kind of compress it so that it can bend downward in the future without cracking. The other downside is there will be temporary road closures and lane shifts. So in order for us to build this version, and I'm going to go back, we need to basically cut this piece of the existing bridge off so that we can join it to the future bridge. And that's true for both of them. So for about 4 to 5 weeks, only one lane will be functional on the bridge. So if this project does get done, the county would look to try to build this during the summer when the school's not in session. That way it's not as impactful. But there will have to be a detour from Cleveland to the 111 to Bay Street to get around the bridge. And then load rating requirements by Caltrans. So Caltrans could kind of determine what kinds of vehicles can be on the bridge. We've already looked at the current loading and there's no restrictions. So we don't really believe that there's going to be future restrictions after the widening. The last version, the precast, this is where it's built off-site. So some of the advantages of this are the speed in construction. Because it's built off-site, you just need to get a crane and drop it into place. The crane's also a negative because you need to make sure you get the right crane, the right length, and that it's not too heavy to damage the existing channel. So you avoid false work, which is also going to speed up construction, and the same benefit of maintenance to be completed by Caltrans. The disadvantages, I mentioned the crane. Because it is being built off-site, you have some additional cost in the fabrication, the delivery, and the installation, because now they have to bring a whole bridge to the site. There's still going to be a little bit of cast in place, and that's just going to be to join the old bridge with the new bridge. And that's the same 4 to 5 week period that I mentioned with this one. And then the same issue with the loading. If Caltrans decides to change the loading requirements, it might prohibit some vehicles from being on the bridge. But overall, there really isn't a big disadvantage to just widening the existing bridge. So that's pretty much the status of the bridge. We've looked at alternatives, trying to get the best option that we can. And they're so similar in price that I don't really think we can rule any out right now. So it's very possible that we could go with the existing bridge widening after doing this study. Right. Project status for the bike lanes. So we've identified all the critical areas, and we're working on the 35% design. We basically have solutions for the critical areas. So what you see on the screen right now is the footprint that we're aiming for. So the existing roadway right now is about 24 to 26 foot wide. So it's barely enough for 2 cars. We're proposing to widen about 18 feet, 9 feet on either side, so that we could have a 4-foot buffer and a 5-foot bicycle lane. So that's the goal across the whole project. There are areas where we're constrained, where we have to do something a little bit different. This first example here is at the new Triangle Park that's being built. This is 2nd Street, Hammond, and 66th Avenue. Here, because there is no bike lane coming southbound from the roundabout, the proposal is that the bike lane would join the 10-foot sidewalk that's being constructed as part of Triangle Park to get to our 2nd Street start. So this is just a little bit different because the bicycle lane is all on one side. Another area is by the new 66th Avenue grade separation. So this is the new bridge that was built over Hammond. Because there's columns in the way, we can't really put the bike lane next to the roadway. So we're going to build around the columns, so they'll be behind them. This is the area by the new North Shore Elementary School. One of the items we're proposing here is to add this mid-block crossing with a crosswalk. This way, anyone that's on a bicycle going eastbound can still come up to the school. They won't have to go all the way to Cleveland and then come back. And then the final area that we were looking at is right by the North Shore Community Park, adjacent to the Resiliency Center. So right now, part of when the North Shore Park was built, they have these culverts that go into this drainage area that's in the county right away. In order for us to keep the drainage consistent with what it's doing now, we would do our widening, but we would also have to have a retaining wall with a barrier along the north side that way we don't lose a lot of capacity in the channel. This is something that we would need to coordinate with the Resilience Center because we need to figure out how they're going to be doing their drainage for their driveway because they're going to have to cross this area as well, which means we're going to have to open up the barrier just to accommodate entry onto their property. So, Troy, if you're there, when you have a site design ready for us to look at, please let me know. And that's pretty much it. Any questions or concerns? Please let me know. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, noches.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Mire, de acuerdo a lo que se entiende, parece que tenemos dos opciones, ¿verdad?
Regarding, what I wanted,
Correcto.
two options, right?
O se hacen primero los caminos de las bikes o el puente.
First, do the bike lanes or the bridge?
Para mí, y a lo mejor ya les he comentado que yo manejo gente trabajando, yo trabajo de campo, con mucha honra.
As I may have mentioned, I manage people that work in the fields, with a lot of honor and pride.
Entonces, para mi punto de vista muy personal, he hablado con mucha gente que trabaja conmigo y
So from my point of view, my personal point of view, I've spoken to many people in the community.
ellos me han hecho el comentario que prefieren el puente,
And they have told me,
definitivamente, y el semáforo.
that they prefer the bridge and the traffic light.
Si es que tenemos esas dos opciones, gran cantidad de gente me ha dicho, queremos el puente porque la gente no respeta nuestra gente.
If we have these two options, they have told me that we want that option because people do not respect us.
Ahorita nos están dejando muy bonita la calle, 70 y las Vanderbilt.
Right now, they are making the roads really nice, the 70 and Vanderbilt.
Ahora quisiera yo saber a dónde puede uno o qué deben, más bien, ustedes sí saben.
And I'd like to know, well, you know,
Okay, ¿qué podemos hacer para controlar los racers, todo eso? Porque un pedazo que sale por ¿cómo se llama?
What can we do about the racers? Because
La otra que sigue, donde llegan los autobuses de la escuela,
there's one part where the
Miramar,
buses come.
ahí en Miramar,
Miramar Street,
ya destrozaron una parte del bordo que pusieron a las orillas.
they have already
Los racers.
the border that they put on the sides, the racers on the shoulder.
No tendremos, yo coopero, se necesita cooperar para poner una patrulla para ver si nos hacen caso.
I would cooperate with putting
Aquí tengo
$100
$100 por semana para si se les hace mucho.
a week if that seems a lot.
Fin de semana no dejan dormir.
On the
24 horas.
weekends, we can't sleep 24 hours a day.
No sé de dónde vienen todos. Vienen trailers y todo, en las pickup y todo.
I don't know where they all come from. There's trailers and pickups and everything.
Está muy bien, tienen sus clubs, pero hay mucho desierto. No tienen que estar en las calles.
That's fine, but there's a lot of desert. They don't need to be on the streets.
Entonces es lo que yo todos los años que tengo viviendo aquí he estado peleando. Nomás que ha habido personas que, algunos que viven aquí tienen sus hijos con racers o les compran.
In all the years that I've been here, I've been saying this,
Y le
but
quieren
some
pegar.
people, and you know, some people buy their kids racers and they wanna hit me.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Otra pregunta sobre los racings.
Another question regarding
Este semana estuvo la policía
this weekend, the police were in
enfrente de la Reyes Market, la tienda, y trajeron nets.
That's
last weekend.
Y tenemos un grupo de chat para
The
dar
sheriffs were here
información de
outside of the
los
market,
eventos que hay aquí.
and we have a
Pero
chat
también
room
sirve de advertencia
that
para los
informs
que
them
tienen
about
races.
everything.
para
And they
los
also
que,
have warnings for those who
hacen
have
cosas
racers.
ilegales,
For
y la
people who
comunidad los apoya. Yo
For
creo
people
que
who
eso es
do illegal
injusto,
things and the community supports
que
them, I
no
think
deben
that's
de poner
unfair.
eso ahí.
They shouldn't have that there.
Que la policía está enfrente de Reyes Márquez con los,
That the,
con grúas para quitar los races.
that
Por
the
favor,
police
no
is-
salgan. ¿Eso qué quiere decir? Nuestra
The-
comunidad no
the
se
police is
respeta.
outside Reyes Market, with trucks,
De la policía.
with police trucks. And what do they mean by that?
Y en el chat de North Shore, la comunidad empezó a mandar textos.
And at
No
the
salgan.
top in North Store, people started sending out,
Porque
because
están quitando los races de la
No, no.
policía.
the police are taking people's racers away.
Como dice el compañero,
Que avisan.
se avisan
Like he says, they tell each other,
y nos perjudica a toda la comunidad.
and that harms the whole community.
Como él dice, necesitamos gente o necesitan, pero
Like he
nosotros
says, we need
mismos
people.
en la comunidad del chat, los mismos que están
Entre-
dentro del grupo
Entre ellos se avisan.
se avisan.
Those of us that are
todos,
in the
pero-
chat, well, they let each other know, they tell each other.
Pero
Those who are in the
destruyen
group.
lo poquito que se están peleando y se está arreglando el norte, lo poquito lo destruyen.
But the little that is
Es la
being
comunidad.
done in North Shore, they are destroying it.
Oiga, ¿la hablan a la policía a ustedes como cuando están usando los reyes por ahí o qué es lo que hace la comunidad?
La comunidad y un grupo de chat
The community
que
there's a
se
chat.
viene organizando una persona
They're like
y esa
organized.
persona
Hay quien está cuidando las salidas.
cada evento, como dice este evento o eventos que hay para la comunidad, se pone. O la migra o la policía,
Or maybe
mucha
I
gente lo pone en ese chat.
or the police and they tell each other
Que
on the
nosotros
chat.
mismos nos
And
estamos
what is it means that we
solapando
ourselves
a la
are
gente que
cover
tiene su race.
this to the people that have the race.
Y eso no está bien porque
And
ellos
it's not
tienen,
okay,
porque han
because
recibido
They
reportes
have received report
para que vengan y
to
nos
come.
ayuden.
and to help us.
¿Y qué hace la mitad de la
And
comunidad?
what is the half of the community
Dile a tu
do?
vecino, dile a
Well,
los
tell
que tienen
your
races
neighbors,
que no
tell
están
everybody who
porque
has
se lo van a
races
quitar.
that don't go out because they're
Entonces,
gonna
Les
take.
diré que sigan hablando a la policía cuando miren los reyes de venir de ahí ilegalmente. Nosotros también podemos estar fuertes en la policía, pero si la policía, si los vecinos avisan, es difícil, ¿verdad? Pero siguen hablando la policía. Si no hablan ustedes, porque piensan que no van a hacer nada o que se van a avisar, entonces no va a pasar nada, pero siguen hablando cuando ocupen ayuda. Esto es todo lo que le puedo avisar, pero también nosotros podemos hacer reporte,
Pero yo creo que también como ella que está organizada y sabe, y ella sabe la que está en el grupo, decir que también el grupo no es para notificar cosas buenas que necesita la comunidad. Necesitamos quitar los raíces, sí, pero también necesitamos el apoyo de la comunidad.
sí, claro.
No reportarlo, porque la policía también, no nada más es hablar a la policía, sino que la policía también te cuestiona. ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Dónde vives? Y etcétera, para que hagan un papeleo, y ese papeleo tarda. No, todo esto es un proceso que dura. Y el día que viene, nosotros mismos, la misma comunidad, lo tapa. Y ellos dicen, entonces, ¿para qué tantos reportes si al final quieren ellos hacerlo? Y nuestra misma comunidad, nuestros mismos vecinos, les dicen, no vengan porque va a venir la policía, o va a haber chipón o algo. Pues yo creo que también no está bien para nosotros como comunidad y como dueños de casas, sí es muy ruidoso y muy peligroso. Gracias.
Yo creo que tiene un buen punto, pero desafortunadamente aquí no tenemos los recursos para eso. Como dice el señor, es bueno seguir haciendo esos reportes, pero creo que también en el espacio del concilio Mecca en North Shore es bueno traerlo al supervisor y decirle qué refuerzos ocupa, porque se me hace que no entra la policía, entra el sheriff, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Fui a otra junta donde dicen que hay más refuerzos, pero es un buen punto decirle lo que nosotros necesitamos, ¿verdad? Como comunidad. Es como desagradable que los inversión de arreglar la carretera se destruya luego.
Sí, no, y vienen de
Pero-
fuera para poder
El
destruir.
problema que viene mucha gente de fuera con sus pickups y sus trailers.
Si tú tienes tu casa que vives aquí y le dices a gente de fuera, vengan aquí, hay áreas de motos, de todo esto, pero ellos mismos lo hacen. ¿Y cómo hacer eso? Y si uno levanta la voz, oh, es malo, esa persona te clasifica. Y al rato, pues también puede ser como acoso. Es muy difícil también hacer eso en la comunidad.
Lo que se ha notado mucho, lo he notado mucho, que cuando por ahí anda dando la vuelta cualquier patrulla, todo está bien, hermano, muy bonito el show. Pero nomás levante. Cuidado.
Y no solo eso, perdón, no solo eso, las balaceras, porque eso es otro. Siempre hay balacera. Entre semana y los fines de semana no faltan. Tanto nos perjudican porque en realidad puede matar a alguien que están así disparando. Y eso, pues yo pienso que estaría bueno que pusieran una estación de sheriff acá, así como está puesto allá en Mecca, porque eso sí es muy necesario, porque ya esto ya no es un lugar chiquito, ya es un lugar grande, y eso yo pienso que eso sí nos beneficiaría mucho.
También que comentarle al supervisor en esta junta nomás es para hablar sobre los proyectos que estamos hablando, oigan, que no podemos hacer nada, y entendemos que sí son problemas grandes aquí, y le aconsejo, como le dijo hace rato, que vaya a la Mecca North Shore Community Meeting, porque ahí están empleados del supervisor, y en vez del supervisor les va a esas juntas para poder ir a ese tipo de quejas. Es que tiene los recursos para poder poner una estación de policía aquí, se ocupa con tiempo.
Son las reuniones que hacen cada vez.
No, son cada
Quarterly,
tres
trimestral.
veces al año,
Entonces,
4 veces al año.
Yo 3 meses.
pero como ustedes nos pueden notificar cuando hay esas reuniones, como en el chat o dar
Sí, claro.
avisos.
Se me hace que hemos compartido el teléfono de la muchacha Victoria, se me hace que se llama la que se puede comunicar para darle cualquier o pregunta, lo que sea.
O para ir a las reuniones. Una vez fui, pero me dijeron, se está hablando para la comunidad de Mecca. ¿Y de dónde es? Te digo, de North Shore. No, dice, las reuniones tienen que esperar hasta que lleguen a North Shore. Yo,
Oh,
perdón, pero
no.
fue un evento que se estuvo
Pero es el mismo.
y la policía, y hubo varios, pero me dijeron que no pueden estar en esas reuniones porque eran para el área de Mecca. Y dije, ok, bueno, él viene siendo como voluntario, pero Sí, opiné y lo mismo de que tengo que esperar a cuando estuvieran en el área de North Shore.
Ok, a mí me llegan las notificaciones de cuando están esas juntas. Se los puedo, si está en nuestra lista, si recibe las invitaciones a estas juntas, entonces también yo mando esas notificaciones sobre correo electrónico, pero también se los puedo poner en los grupos que es de WhatsApp. Ajá, porque hay diferentes opciones. Hay las juntas trimestral que tienen que es de Mecca y North Shore. So, aunque está en Mecca o si está acá, de todos modos es para Mecca y North Shore. Pero también la representante del supervisor que se llama Victoria, ella tiene sus horas de oficina y a veces está en la comunidad de Mecca o también viene aquí a North Shore. Y es tiempo y puede hablar con ella individualmente. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta sobre el proyecto de la 70? Any questions regarding the projects or improvements?
Yeah, go for it.
First of all, I want to thank Mr. Martinez for providing that cursory overview of the project thus far. Is he still on, by the way?
Yeah, Fred's still there.
Good, because I'm hoping that he did listen to all these testimonies, because they're very important. I think the one thing that the community of North Shore has demonstrated throughout the meetings, the years of meetings that I've attended, is their first and foremost concern is their public health and safety. And I think that by now, we should encourage, if you will, our different departments like transportation, Coachella Valley Water District, anybody that has these proposed projects to provide this area as part of their responsibilities, not simply because we need them or because we want them or getting our polls to see if it'd be all right if they do that. No, they have the responsibility. That's why they are formed. These committees, these transportation departments, the CBWD, et cetera, et cetera. That's their authority. That's their responsibility. That's what they owe us because we provide the revenues for them to continue to operate and manage their respective responsibilities. And I appreciate the candid conversations that these people are providing to you. So my suggestion to Mr. Martinez and also the other people that worked with him and the other departments that work together, go first of all, find out, get the pulse of the community. What are the principal concerns that override all their other concerns whenever a project is introduced here? Because I hear the same thing over and over. Lighting, safe streets, we can't go straight to the supervisor, you know what I'm saying? Because the supervisor's office or office of the supervisors, they provide the funding, they provide the approvals and the necessary, ordinances and all that in order for everybody to comply. I think it's key that the departments that are planning these things understand that there's more than just the CAD to go to and draw pictures and, take measurements and stuff like that. There's people, it's a part of the human element in this area, in this community. It's not just a matter of distance, grades and whatnot. He mentioned an $11 million, was that what the project was going to cost or something like that?
It was roughly 1 million. Roughly 1 million. 1 million?
Oh, 1 million for the bridge.
1.3 for the.
And I understood, or maybe I heard wrong, that was over the budget? So
No,
that.
No, that's not over the budget. It's it was actually a lot cheaper than it was originally anticipated. So there are
Right.
Go ahead, Albert.
So what I said is that we were not expecting the prices to be so close. We honestly thought that pedestrian bridges were going to be a lot more economically feasible. Because these prices are so close, it means that the bridge widening is definitely within the ballpark.
Okay.
So
Because I'm hoping that we don't, for a few $100,000, we don't open the county and the departments, open them to some sort of litigation later on because somebody got run over. Because, Mr. Martinez, as well as the entire assembly here, that traffic, automobile pedestrian collisions are on the upswing all over the place. I travel, along the California highways and whatnot, and I read the newspapers and even locally. A lot of hit and runs. You see what I'm saying? And the people that stay behind, you know what I'm saying? At least they can provide a testimony as to what might have happened, so the police could listen and report. But nevertheless, I've noticed that increase. And it's spooky. And, as we're talking and looking at the plans, I'm saying, there's gotta be some barrier between the bicycle riders, the pedestrians, and that 75 mile per hour traffic. You know what I'm saying? We gotta take care of the people that are taking advantage of these nice byways that they're providing us, the bike trails, the walking trails. I like that one that they're coming down, what is that, CV Link, And unfortunately, there are some links that are missing in this trail that we have to go through communities or towns. I'd like to see that, better protected in those areas. But I mean, just a thought. I don't want to suck up all the oxygen here, but nevertheless, where I'm going is that I think hopefully Mr. Martinez can pass on this information, and I disagree that this is not the forum for that. This is very important. This should have been at the very beginning before we got to 35% of the project.
Yeah.
We should know what the community feels like, how, it's heartbeat.
Yeah, I just
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Ed. I just want to give a few comments, and Larissa, I do see your hand up and I'll pass it over to you. But Alfredo, would you mind putting back up the diagram for the various options, just really quick?
yeah, let me open it back up.
Okay, thank you. I do hear your comments and I, agree. It's unfortunate sometimes that, projects are designed all the way through without hearing community feedback. That is the purpose of this space, is to be able to show these designs in progress, to be able to hear feedback from the community. This is the purpose of this meeting, was to get your input in terms of which design option you most wanted to see. What I guess I'll share that we're also working on a community support letter to be able to collect signatures and be able to provide this with the report that Alfredo is going to be submitting to the county so that they can take that into consideration. So we do want to hear your input. We do want to, understand which option is best for the community. Just to summarize, I did hear that, if it was between the bike lanes and the bridge, we wanted the bridge. It's not for the bike lane. It's not an or situation. It's not like a one or the other between the bike lanes and the bridge, but I am hearing that maybe the pedestrian bridge, the two pedestrian bridges without the expansion would not be preferred, right? And we've heard that feedback pretty often, where the preferred design is to expand the bridge because of the safety concerns, because of this school that's being built, because of the increase in population in North Shore. And so that is something that we can support and try to address in this space. I know that there's so many other things that you all are raising, and it's not that they're not important. I think they are. But those are conversations that have to continue even outside of this space. In the forums where you have the decision makers that can, do something about it. I think my follow-up question to Alfredo is, I know that this isn't a solution, but other things in the chat, Alfredo, that I'm seeing is there is a desire for road bumps and there's a desire for the traffic light. And I'm wondering, at what point in the design process are we able to consider or think about those other elements in order to really make the project more robust. And if that's something we have to consider maybe in a later phase. But if you could give more insight into that, that'd be great.
So speed bumps are not something the county generally does on county maintained roads. One of the main reasons we don't like putting in speed bumps is it doesn't just stop the traffic, it also stops the emergency responders. So we want to get our responders to and from any site as quickly as possible. If you install speed bumps, it's going to slow them down too. So speed bumps is not something that we do. In terms of the traffic signal, that's something that we could explore when the project moves along further. Right now, we're still 35% is still the conceptual phase. Once we get into the 65%, 95% designs, that's when we start looking at traffic signals because we start needing to look at power requirements. How are we going to power these signals? So
I see.
the signal is something that we've gotten feedback on before, and it is something that I've brought up to my supervisors.
Our equipment is, we're having technical difficulties now. If we could just have a minute.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay.
But give us just a second, Alfredo. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Pero la ganadería y cuando lo mochen poquito ya ni se le escucha, se aquedo. Pero que lo cambió sí se escuchó.
Oh, no.
Sí, ahora sí ya.
¿Qué fue la última cosa que oyeron?
Desde el principio, porque cambió el traductor, cuando cambió el traductor, se perdió la señal y no agarramos la señal.
¿Es presente señal?
Sí, sí.
Thank you very much. Apologies.
Okay, so start over at the speed bumps again.
I think it goes far more than that. It starts at the speed bumps?
Oh,
Okay, then, yes, Alfredo, if you can start over at the speed bumps.
Okay. All right. So the question came in about putting in speed bumps by the school. The county does not put in speed bumps on county maintained roads. And the reason we don't do that is it also delays emergency responders from getting to and from an emergency scene. It stops all traffic, not just the speeders. So we don't believe we're going to put any speed bumps by the school or around the school. If it's private property, it can be done on private property, but not on county maintained roads. And then the follow-up question was about a signal at Cleveland, pretty much where the bridge is. So that's something that has been brought up before in previous meetings. It's something that I've shared with our director's office, so they're aware that the community has requested it. Right now, that's not part of the grant, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be part of the project. It's something that we're going to talk to our traffic people about to see if it meets the traffic warrants. There's studies that need to be done in order to incorporate it. That's going to happen at 65%, 95%, sometime in the future. Because the other concern is we also have to power these signals. So we need to make sure that there's power close by that can power the cabinets and that we can protect the equipment on site. So the signals is something that we can definitely look into. I think those were the main questions. And then was there something on the exhibits that you wanted me to explain again?
No, I just wanted them to see the numbers. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's helpful regardless. I think my question to the group and the folks that are here is one, what would be your preferred option? And if, as we're planning for the community support letter, is there any feedback that you really want us to uplift? Or that you'd like Alfredo from the transportation department to hear, to consider now and or in the future, like he mentioned?
and we're focused on the bridge itself, just the widening of the bridge.
For the letter of support, yes. So, just in various meetings with the North Shore and Mecca communities for these TCC grants, we've been meeting monthly for the last 4 or 5 months. The communities felt very strongly about the bridge widening alternative. That seems to be the one that most community members want to go with. So one of the things that we discussed was having the community or the leadership council come up with a letter of support from the community to the county that we can use in future grants, just showing, hey, look, this is what the community wants. They want this bigger bridge. And that way we can incorporate that with our documents just to show, just to back ourselves up as well.
Yeah, no, I heard, I'm not very informed, but you're saying there's two options, the widening only, and the other one would be the pedestrian and the bike lane?
No, so the bike lanes are its own project, right? So we have task 3, which is the 70th Avenue Bridge. That has 2 alternatives, the pedestrian bridges or the bridge widening. Task 4 is the bike lanes, the whole 9 miles.
Like, is it necessary to have bike lanes and pedestrians lanes, like, which is fine with the bridge, you know? Like, it's gonna go all the way, I don't know. Been done before, like people walk all the way, you know, from the houses to over there. I mean, it's really necessary to have a pedestrian and a bike lane. Personally, I wouldn't ride my bike there since, you know, the hit and runs, you know, and those crazy people, those are, you know, outlaw bikes. There's a lot of crazy people around here. I wouldn't really use it.
It's part of this grant that we're applying for, that's supposed to facilitate transport. The whole point of this grant is to get cars off the street, so by putting bike lanes, it promotes that type of mobility. So that's part of the grant, unfortunately, and it's getting us to this point where we're able to expand the bridge, so it's
Right.
not to be able to cut out without being in violation of this grant.
Oh, okay.
So the bike lanes are an excuse to widen the bridge. You can't have one without the other.
All right, okay, thank you.
Pero sería nada más del lado derecho o serían de los dos lados para.
Would it only be on the right side or would it be on both sides?
No lo sé.
Sí, porque uno vaya y otro viene, entonces si te gusta uno, pues como.
Para el puente solamente se irá para el lado del norte, el mismo lado donde está la escuela.
Sí, porque el lado izquierdo es más peligroso. Sí, por el cruce de la Cleveland. Ese es mi paso. Sí, ¿verdad? Ahí no va a haber.
Because the left side is more dangerous, so there won't be one there?
No, it's easier and cheaper if we just build one side. And it's less disruptive to the community too if we're disrupting both sides. And then I don't know if you can see it, but there's already curb and gutter right here, and the road comes down this way. So by pushing the road up, it helps line up the curb and gutter so that it's straighter. So it's already wide on the north. We're just matching it.
But the bike lanes that go like the full 9 miles, Alfredo, we're still considering on both sides, no?
Yes, yeah. So you have the bike lane here on the south side. That's this 5 foot. And then you have this 5 foot lane here that goes through the bridge on the north side. So you still have both bike lanes.
Iban a bajar donde están los paneles solares, ¿no? Para esa, va ahí, toda la orilla.
¿Dónde está ya?
Sí, donde está la banqueta. Los paneles. Sí, de verdad, porque ya no limpian ahí. Al principio tenían muy limpio, muy todo, y ahora ya está la vegetación ahí. ¿A poco no? Las banquetas me tenían muy. Ahora ya parece selva ahí los dueños de esa propiedad.
I don't know. Are there any other questions for Alfredo right now that the presentation is up?
Just staying on that bridge.
Okay.
Now, what's protecting me as I'm crossing that bridge from the traffic that's going alongside of me, passing me up or coming at me, one way or the other? Is there a buffer, some kind of a barrier? How high, how thick? What's it protecting?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Alfredo, there's a buffer zone, but I don't believe there's a physical barrier.
Correct. So right now we have this 6 foot buffer that's going to be striped so that there's a separation between the pedestrians on the bicycles and the traffic. And then if I can go to this detail. So most of the roadway is only going to have a 4 foot buffer between the vehicles and the bike lane. At the bridge, we're going to have 6. So you're actually getting a little extra buffer at the bridge.
And the reason I ask is because I really appreciate what appears to be like a K rail that separates the foot traffic from the highway traffic as we cross over the 66th Avenue overcrossing in Mecca that takes you over the railroad tracks. There's that nice buffer that's up about at least almost higher than waist high for me, almost shoulder high. But that I feel very safe, and I think all of the people that are jogging and walking and utilizing that for their exercises, really appreciate that. There's a tremendous amount of security behind that wall, and the cars can go zipping by. And so that's why I say I didn't see that, and I still don't see it. I was just, so you're saying just almost that grade level stone separation, almost like another little walkway between them, right?
Just
it?
painted stripe, painted chevrons.
Okay. I'll stay on Highway 111.
No lo protege nada. No me va a proteger, no, porque le van a meter.
There's also a raised sidewalk that will be separate.
Yeah, well,
On the bridge, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dan vuelta a la que, ¿verdad? Ahí siempre ha habido, chocan. Hasta está y creo que pusieron una barrera.
When they turn on the pavement, they crash.
A North Shore.
I
Ya ha
think
habido
they
accidentes ahí que
they
ya
put a barrier there.
la barrera. Y ahora con ciclistas o caminar, pues ya a mí se me hace más peligroso.
So there have been accidents there, and now with cyclists there, it seems it would be more dangerous.
Por eso habían puesto la otra opción de los otros, del puentecito.
That's why
Y a mí,
Correct.
a mí en lo personal se me hacía
So-
mejor.
So
Porque-
this option here keeps
Wait, I'm sorry.
pedestrians and cyclists off the bridge completely. But this does not appear to be the recommendation the community wants.
No, es que es cada quien, porque las rayas, es decir, somos de aquí, vivimos aquí, no las van a respetar. No las rayas no las van a respetar.
Yeah, like the plastic posts.
Like the plastic posts that are like by Highway 111 and Mecca. There's plastic posts like right next to the checkered white lines.
Alfredo, are you able to hear that?
I heard something about checkered white lines.
No, that
Posts. The plastic posts that you guys put, there's some like by 111 and Mecca. Right underneath the bridge.
The channelizers. So that's something that I've done on other projects that we might be able to do here as well.
Like they can be on the inside line or I don't know, it's up to the community, like what line of the checkered one they want to put them on. But just to kind of create like that division of, you know, something that tells you you're on the white space already. Or like even there's like road indentions you guys add to the road so that it makes that noise when it's when there's.
Yeah, the rumble stripes.
Yeah.
So
Or like a yield. I don't know if at the end of the day it's a light or a yield signs around there too.
Let me share a different screen.
I was also gonna ask if there's PDF files for like where you just share like the diagrams and also the pros and cons.
Yeah, I can PDF it and I can send it to I think I sent it to Crystal earlier, but that was still just the draft PDF. I could send her the final for her to share with the different council.
Thanks, Alfredo. Were you gonna share your screen again?
Yeah, I was just looking for the best way to do it. I'll just share my entire screen. So this is the area that was just brought up. This is right by Mecca. 4th Street is that signal you can see over here in the distance. This is a different trail that or bike lane that we built or pedestrian access that leads to, I think it's St. Anthony's mobile home park. But it might be something similar to this where we have the rumble stripe, we have the chevron markings, and we can do channelizers. I think this one is wider than the 4 foot we're proposing, but it's still something where we can do a very similar treatment.
How do you? No hizo comentarios, perdón.
Está bien eso, pero que estuvieran un poquito más seguidos.
Más juntos.
Más juntos. Pero sí se está bien así como
There seems to be consensus that that is a viable option. Is that also part of, like, does that come in with the 65 to 95% design plans, Alfredo?
Yeah, a lot of times the safety features are things that we work out with our traffic group to see what they recommend as well. 35% is really just the footprint.
So it will come, either way, it will come later in the project, but we can include
Correct.
that.
Right. And I mean, I'm taking notes, so I can always bring this up to the director's office just to explain what the concerns are.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? I had a quick question. There was on the Portage Ponds, I don't remember where, but it was like maintained by Caltrans or Riverside County, and they were kind of like at a disadvantage, a pro, I don't remember what it was. But would there be a maintenance issue for any of the options?
So on the pedestrian bridges, those would have to be maintained by the county. So we would have to go out and inspect them and maintain them. Because bridges are more significant, Caltrans actually inspects those and they'll let us know if there's any problems or issues that need to be addressed. So it's not a big pro and con. It's just Caltrans takes some responsibility, which reduces our maintenance a little bit.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next item.
Sorry, we have one more. Okay.
Oh, no,
The last question, la última pregunta.
Acá no podemos pensar a lo grande, no podemos hacer todo. Puente y caminos peatonales, pensar en lo grande.
Eso es el plan, es hacer los dos proyectos.
Ojalá que se nos haga. Gracias.
De nada.
Okay. So
Thanks,
we'll move
Alfredo.
on. Thank you, Alfredo. We'll move on to the next item. So we'll discuss the Mecca North Shore Community Residence Center, and I'll send it back to Desert Recreational with Tim.
Yeah, thank you. We have submitted 100% plans and we're working with the architect to go through that. After seeing the county's presentation with the graphics, I'd like to come back in the December meeting and do the same. We'll have one of our staff members online so we can have not displays, but yeah, visuals that you can see what's going into the building. And then Alfredo, it's Ken Samalo. I'll reach out to you about the plans. We do have draft plans that we can share with you to coordinate the drainage.
Okay, perfect. Because yeah, I really want to see how your driveway layout's going to be. If you're going to have culverts or basically how you're handling drainage for your offsite as well as on-site flows.
Yeah, we'll coordinate with your office. So what I'd like to offer the community is we're happy to take any questions to make sure we incorporate them into our presentation. But otherwise, that's the updates.
Are those plans available for us to see or?
I'd like to finish our review of the 100% plans, but then we can make them for sure.
Ken, just a
Yes.
quick question. Does this, I'm sorry if I missed it, does that include the landscape architecture?
There is landscaping on the plan, so we have the layout, the landscaping, there's parking shown, I think mechanical in terms of air conditioning and electrical.
Mm.
So I believe we're close to 100% buildable plans.
Got it, okay.
But we'll present what we have and then we'll make it available to them.
Estimate, like cost estimate?
I don't have it off the top of my head. Maureen, I don't know if you have the cost estimate?
I do. So the last cost estimate we received was around 26 million for the construction. That's something that we will be seeking funding for in the next phase of the TCC grant. Ultimately, what we were responsible for in this phase was the design of that 5-acre parcel that's directly adjacent to North Shore Community Park between Miramar and Seaview. And as Ken stated, we did get a peek at some schematic designs. So we will be bringing that back to the community for review at our next month's meeting. We're also still working on, much like, Alfredo said, all of the environmental documents that are required for this project. So we do have a draft IS on its way this week, and then we have the soils report as well. So we are well on our way to having this thing designed with much input from the community. So yes, like Ken said, please be sure to let us know what your thoughts are on this community center. It's designed as an emergency response location for the community. So it will have technology to assist the community during power outages, extreme heat events, dust storms, etc. And it will also serve as a mobile health clinic and allow for some programming, both recreational and workforce development wise. So we're really excited to partner with everybody on this project, and let us know if you have questions.
And finally, regarding
Thank you, Maureen.
we are working with the supervisor's office and Congress's office to apply for grants, seeking grant things.
Yo tengo una referente al landscaping. Yo quisiera que no pusieran tanto como en el parque, en tanto nopal y cactus y todo. Es la verdad, es peligroso para los niños. Cuando hay programas y todo, no tiene que andar tras los niños, que no se piquen, o sea, como que exageraron en ese parque. No hay, es vegetación, está bien, pero está lleno de nopales. Para
Too
uno,
much cactus and there's too many nopales and the kids, when they're running around and playing, they hurt themselves, so the gardening is excessive.
Es cierto porque tiene un área de recreación para juegos.
And it's true
Actividades.
because there's a
Pero no
recreation
pueden
area,
utilizar balones, no pueden utilizar pelotas porque se ponchan.
but they can't
Entonces,
use balls
sirve
because
como de práctica
they
para los
get
niños.
punctured, so it's not practical.
Yo creo que hay árboles que no tienen espinas, naturaleza que no tiene tantas espinas.
I
Es muy
think
bello eso.
That there are plants that don't.
En esas áreas, pues tenemos que
That don't
pensar
have-
en la seguridad.
In those types of areas, we have to think about
Y no
security.
dar tantas pelotas y pérdidas porque
And
pues no les
Have
damos
so
tanto.
many losses of balls because.
Y también el área que se va a construir, pensarlo también desde ahí.
And think about that for the area that's going to
Poner
be.
árboles que sean de sombra,
There's
que
trees
den-
that are for shade.
pero no tanto nopales, espinas.
I love that much.
No hay flores, no hay rosas, ahí no hay rosas, ahí hay nopales, ahí. No.
¿Qué tanto iniciará?
Nada más tenemos una fecha más o menos para empezar ahora sí.
And when will the project begin?
Yeah, we have no start time yet until we get funding. So right now we're delayed until.
We're working on it.
Yes.
Pero se puede aumentar el presupuesto.
We can,
Porque de aquí a que se llegue a la fecha,
Sí, oiga,
va a bajar.
con la construcción que sube, también va a subir el precio,
Ya.
y los terros y todo, porque ya, o sea, sí se puede subir, pero también puede bajar, pues depende de cómo está la economía.
And then
Pues, en este tiempo ya bajan.
presentan ustedes y está muy bien.
Pero como
The budget will be for the
va a
upcoming,
ir
like,
subiendo,
different costs and everything.
hay que
Because
tener
everything is gonna
un
go
plan
up.
B de que podemos pedir otra de aquí a 5 años,
So
pedir
there
otra
has to be a-
beca y que nos alcance para que se haga ese proyecto bien. Y
There has to
no
be a plan B.
reduciendo por los costos tan altos que sean.
Because in 5
Sino
years.
que también
we can
pensar
seek for another
una beca más de 5 millones o algo para implementarlo a ese proyecto.
probably seek another,
Por los costos que pueda subir.
for this cost that they might collide.
Right, so we're gonna look at multiple grants for the upcoming year, not just one at a time. I agree that if we have to phase it in, the costs are gonna go up and we'll need more money. So we're gonna do the best we can to get it built as quickly as possible. That's the best I can do for you.
Yeah.
Any other
Okay.
questions?
I have a hand up. Oh, Larissa?
Hi, sorry. Yes, I have a question. Well, let me start with feedback and then I have one question. But I'm sorry I can't be there, but attending all of the meetings for not only our community, but like the Salton Sea region is almost like a full-time job because there's so many different ones on different nights. But and I just to make all of your jobs easier, I really would suggest if there's a way before all of these meetings to say or to incorporate where they should go to express their concerns about safety and the things that you have no control over. I totally understand this is a separate like build project, that you're getting funding for. Because, for example, like I was just at the city council meeting or North Shore Mecca Community Council meeting, as was Jose. I see Jose in there. But I didn't see anyone who's present tonight there. And that is where a lot of these concerns needed to be expressed. And in addition to that, I guess my question is, I didn't see anyone from your camp there. How are you working, like private meetings with the transportation department or whatever? I don't think they count as much as every public meeting that is happening, whether it's like from North Shore Mecca City Council to shout out to Thursday, anyone who can come to the Salton Sea Authority meeting that's going to take place in the North Shore Fire Department. The supervisor may be there. And sure, it's going to be a meeting about the Salton Sea, restoring the Salton Sea, whatever. But to see an active community I want to just first say to anyone who can understand what I'm saying, if they speak Spanish or whatever, but just try to go to as many meetings as you can, if you can, because I know that it's a lot. Like it gets overwhelming, but these are really serious issues. And the only way people will listen is if we show up in mass and every time saying the same things over and over. These meetings are not the place, but Crystal just has done an amazing job. So she has more engagement and like a regular sort of communication line with people than I've seen from a lot of these other projects. So I don't know. That was a question mixed in with a comment, but I guess back to the main question of are you guys showing up at things? For example, because of the CV link, they will be at the fall festival on, well, it was postponed, but next Friday they'll be there. They'll be at the Candy Cane Lane, like to talk about their project. I haven't seen you guys, or at least like maybe you've sat in on the meetings, but I haven't seen you representing what you're trying to build there in the context of just like all the other projects that are happening. Does that make sense? Sorry, I know that was all over the place.
Is that, was the question, I guess, directed towards just the committee as a whole, leadership council, or the
Yeah,
transportation
as a
department?
whole, I feel like anyone who is working on this project in North Shore and Mecca, why are they not, I mean, are they, or are they, is there a reason that they're not going to all the other community? Because you can't reach everyone in the same channel from this channel, right? So it's like, are you engaging with people from the different, like the different stakeholders publicly in addition to privately? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like it, we can certainly explore providing presentations at other meetings. I will add that I have been in communication with the supervisor's office and do share with like
Me,
the
for
similarly the
example,
well
Victoria Perez, like
yeah.
anyone, whenever she has office hours, all of these people who are talking about safety and whatever, and it's amazing they're showing up at your meetings, but I think they go home disappointed because you can't do anything about that. But so maybe if there's a place you can, in your great communication, add like if there's something you want to discuss, I don't know, just a suggestion there. But yes, I am wondering why we didn't see any presentations, because the community council meeting happens 5 times a year. Like it's almost depressing seeing how much this meeting meets compared to like our actual community. So yeah, I mean, I feel like the least that if you want to reach more people and yeah, just does that,
Yeah, no, it does make
sorry.
sense. And I appreciate the feedback, and I think it's something that like we can when those opportunities come up, can talk about in this space, because I do think it requires multiple partners. I think like for example, Alfredo can speak to the transportation stuff way better than I can and can answer those questions. But I appreciate the feedback, and we can definitely like moving into the next year, explore what those other opportunities are. Because you're right, we haven't, I mean, I'll just speak for ourselves, like we haven't done a presentation at the Mecca North Shore Council. It's also difficult because we don't always know when they're gonna meet. They schedule it and then it gets rescheduled, but we can do a better job, and I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, or just to even peer in on, I mean, and they should be simultaneously watching these videos. Like Victoria should see these recordings. She's great. Or Manny should be seeing these, but I don't know. This is just my like final plea to anyone who cares about the community, like show up at those meetings. Those are the really important ones. And also wherever Manny Perez is going to be, because it's far and few between, but he may be at the firehouse on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Like it's going to be a Salton Sea Authority meeting, but this is our community. Like, you know,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thanks, Larissa. Yes, this Thursday, 10 a.m. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and
Si alguno de los representantes no puede ir o que se dé informe para que aunque sea la gente que pueda ir, represente los proyectos que uno ya conoce. Como son 6 representantes, ya sea uno de ustedes o la misma comunidad que del informe, como dice la señorita, y puede ir a uno de los eventos y cuando se presentan estas juntas, traer un informe para poder aprender y saber si hay más fondos en otros lugares, pedirlos para nuestras áreas.
Mm. Yes, we can, going into the new year, try to find more meetings that we can present at. It just takes some coordination, like we can't show up to a meeting and then present without being on the agenda. That's really difficult. But we can explore those options. I am gonna move us along. I did want to talk about the support letter, but we're running a little bit out of time. For the grid alternatives, Jocelyn, is it okay if we move you to December, revisit this in December, or are there major updates that you want to share today?
Hi. Yeah, no problem. We can revisit it in December. No major updates. We'll probably reach out to you all with just some updates we have from regarding the data that we have so far on the projects to the county.
I just want to acknowledge that he's here, and also, I wasn't thinking if I'm good.
Yeah, hi guys, I don't know if you can see me, I didn't make it, that's fine, just wanted to let you guys know, I do have, papers for an internship that we're trying to get started in Mecca North Shore. As first in February, so just wondering if I could leave that with you guys here. Or just,
You want to share about it right now? You can.
Well, just to confirm, is that okay, us? You want to do that?
No, absolutely. You have the flyers. Please go.
Yeah, for sure. So let me just get those out. Currently, the flyers have been updated. We're hoping to get someone over the age of 18 by February. It's a paid position. I believe it's about 20 an hour. Tuesday through Friday, it would be roughly 30 hours or so. And then find this, it's essentially what I'm doing now. If you don't know already, I'm actually local. I'm a fellow, so this would be different than what I'm doing currently. But here's some of the flyers. And essentially the internship would find someone preferably within the community of Mecca North Shore, with priority or nearby. That would help us do like what I'm doing right now, get in touch with the rest of the community, do some outreach, help us with whatever firm projects we have. It's, I believe, about 10 weeks or so. And there aren't really any other requirements there on the flyer, aside from them being allowed to work within the United States. And it's pretty open. We're just hoping to get that process started now, since February is our deadline.
So is anybody's interested and have a question, this is the number in here that they could call, or
Yes.
is there a way to reach out to you besides that phone number?
Yeah, they can use that number. The QR code should also take them to the application. And then I can also give cards, I believe I have, to our general outreach department.
Does anybody have any questions regarding that internship, or would like to have additional information?
Yo tengo una pregunta, pero no es, bueno, es sobre ese programa de que, pues no me han llamado todavía, en febrero. Y me dijeron en octubre vamos a mandar a alguien que inspeccione, y ya acaba octubre, ya estamos en noviembre. Y ahí la llevamos.
Have you something to follow up with her, like for her information?
Yeah,
I can
Oh, go ahead.
I can share just a larger update of what we were going to share today. So one of the challenges that we are facing right now is that from the initial 25 site visits that we completed for the homes, there are very clear re-roofing needs, but the budget allocations that we have for the solar readiness, for the re-roofing, is creating some constraints with moving forward with the rehab, because we have a mix of projects. And in addition to that, the high electrical use for the area is maxing out all roof space. So we're having to use all sides of the roof, every plane of the roof, and that's increasing the cost of the re-roofing. From those 25 initial site visits, we're also, we're learning a lot. And I think what's next and what we'd like to bring forward is reaching out to our funders, stakeholders about ideas to support and to adapt the project development grant to the needs of the housing stock in Mecca North Shore based off of what we're learning with these first 25 site visits. We want to make sure that we are being clear with the homeowners about what we're providing, but because we are working within the constraints of this budget, we want to make sure that that's brought to this group, and that folks have input to be able to give towards those discussions that we have.
I guess two comments. Well, the first one is that Adriana, who's actually been pretty consistent in the meetings, has mentioned a few times that I think she's gotten in contact with you, and that somebody was going to go to her house, or somebody was going to get in contact with her, but she hasn't heard from them. Is there an update on that?
So we have completed 25 of the first initial site visits, and we currently are paused as we figure out what funding and what we're able to deliver on for the initial 25 that we have data for and that we actually have bids and, for the rehab that's required. But again, what we come across is, I'll give a brief example, right? Like we come across a re-roofing bid that is, close to $20,000, but we're only able to allocate $5,000. This is just very random numbers as an estimate. And that is a pretty significant gap in the spend down in the budget. So we are at a pause and we want to make sure we deliver on what we're able to provide through this project development grant, so that we can in the future go out and apply for the grant to actually cover the cost and come back and install the solar.
I see. So just to like keep on the same thread of the person here. So it's possible that she is on the list. It's just that we're not able to get to the houses. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why we also, have a wait list because we don't want to oversubscribe, and we want to work with the first folks that applied initially, because we got a lot more interest right away from our outreach efforts, being out in the community and at the food bank. So we got all of our applicants initially, and we want to make sure that we're not oversubscribing and have to turn people away.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Does anybody have another question for Greg?
I really appreciate your presentation that you put here, and I'm reading this information, and I'm recalling all the conversation about the youth, if you will, that has nothing else to do but race and kind of terrorize the neighborhood. But this is awesome. If you could bring it home, if you will, right here into the community, invite them. There's a lot of talent in that youth, and that's why they're burning their energy out and burning the rubber and smoking out the tires and stuff like that. But as a former teacher, I'm looking at this, I said, oh my God, I said, who would want to pass up on this? This is an awesome program. I wish you really get active in most of this.
And just to be clear, while we are accepting the youth that they're 18 or over, it can also be adults.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And we're at the Coachella Branch Library every Thursdays. So if any community members want to speak with us directly, you can always find us there every week. And currently I will be at the Mecca Fall Festival. This Friday I called Galarza, I believe, from the DRD, confirmed. So we will table there as well as the Oasis Annual Posada, September 20th, I believe. So I'm setting up other events. I try to stay within the community. I am local as well. But if you guys ever want to get in touch with us in person, sit down with us, you can find us at the library.
For what time to what time at the library?
11 to 2:30.
I'd like to see the day when a gentleman like this stands up and says, soy campesino, soy trabajador en PIB, pero al mismo tiempo estoy estudiando para instalar, you know what I'm saying? That's where where your conversation and my thinking is going to we don't always have to stick in one particular, what you might say, field of service to the community. We can continue promoting ourselves besides our children. I really appreciate their comments and I support them 150%. So, but this is an even greater enticement to bring people to the table.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Do you mind if I keep this, by the way?
Yes, go ahead. I have a few more.
Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you, Grit.
Yes.
We'll move on to the next point, to the community outreach and engagement. So I'll pass back to Crystal.
And I will try to be brief. So my name's Crystal Otworth. I work with Leadership Council and we do the outreach engagement for these meetings. So that does include doing the meeting invites in text or calls, emails. Hopefully you got at least one of them. We also put up on our social media. So I know a lot of you commented that you saw me or Olivia on social media via the reels, and hopefully they're easy to share to, with other folks to come. That said, always open to feedback. So again, appreciate the comments that we heard even at this meeting of ways that we can improve that to get more folks here, because we do appreciate the feedback and want to make sure that that's incorporated in the projects as much as possible, especially in this phase of the projects. One of the things that we are working on this month, in addition to spreading the word about this meeting and about what was happening on the bridge and the other transportation projects, is that we're also working on a community support letter, which is really a byproduct of you all coming to these meetings and sharing the feedback that you have. So we want to make sure to complement that as much as possible. And so, yes, we're working on a support letter where we are essentially uplifting a lot of the concerns that you have shared about the bridge and the need for its widening. And with that, we also want to reach back out to you all to ask if you're willing to show your support through that letter as well. So one of the things that we worked on this month is what I'll call, I guess, a support form. So this letter is still in the letter itself is still in draft form, and we'll incorporate even some of the feedback that you shared tonight into it before we submit it to the county. But if you would like to sign on to the letter as a community member, you are more than welcome to do so. So we're collecting, let's call it like electronic signatures. And so there's this form. I'll share it on the screen too, so that you're able to see it. I'm dropping the link in the chat for those who want to go to it. Let me share my screen. Okay. So for those who are interested, I can always come back to this, but this is a QR code. We do have a laptop here if you want to stay a little while and submit your information, or you can scan the QR code, but I'll give you a preview of what the form looks like. So it'll take you to a page that looks similar to this, and it's essentially giving background on just the Avenue 70 and Cleveland Street Bridge widening. It also has my number in case there's any questions or you don't feel comfortable at this time, but want to be able to reach out to me at a later time. Oop. So what is the form asking for? Your first name, your last name. You can provide an email if you would like. It's not required. You can also provide your phone number, but not required. We do ask that you provide what community or organization you're from. And then it also asks you to check the box if you would like to add your name to the community support letter. And so the options are yes, I would, or no, I don't want to. And there's also an option to check the box below if you would like to receive a copy of the letter when it's finalized. In order to do that, though, we do need either your phone or email to be able to reach back out to you so that you can see it. If you don't feel comfortable adding your name to this at the moment, you can also click, no, I don't want to add my name, but yes, I do want a copy. And we'll try to send you a copy ahead before we submit it in case you want to change your mind. and add your names at a later time. So, yeah, that's what that looks like. And again, you can either scan the QR code. You can use the link that I added in the chat, or you can also, as long as you signed your name in the sheet for today, the sign-in sheet, we will also, can also reach out to you and send the link for those who maybe didn't get it, and would like to share it at a later time.
I have a question regarding that. How long it's gonna be open to collect signatures?
Or as long as, until we submit it, which, Alfredo, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not expected to submit until like January 2026 or later?
Yeah, I think we wanted to include this in the type selection report. So yeah, if we could get it early January, that'd probably be best.
Okay, so then the form will be open, and we'll be able to collect signatures until we submit the letter.
Does anybody have questions, comments? Feedback? Okay.
Para que toda la comunidad sepa dónde vas a poner el papel o para que la gente llegue como a la tienda y que sea el proyecto que se pueda ver más, porque ahorita pues nomás somos 10 o 5, pero para que la comunidad sepa y haga, se entere y que lo haga antes y poner allí antes de enero o de la fecha que lo tienes que entregar para que más personas participen y la comunidad se sepa como con Reyes y que lo hagan en ese mismo ratito, tomarlo, llenarlo y como dices tú, si quieren poner su correo, tu teléfono, un mensaje para hacerlo más, tenga más firmas.
Yeah, so hay planes de ponerlo en las redes sociales, podemos poner el código o el enlace, y también lo podemos poner en los WhatsApp groups, para que se puede compartir. Oh, yes. So, I guess we can, okay, en español, perdón. Y sí, también podemos ir puerta a puerta, nomás es coordinar con los que van a ir a hacer eso. Pero,
Cristalina, donde dice organización, ¿ahí qué le vamos a poner?
comunidad o organización, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
This is a survey. This is the draft.
No, this is just the form to collect like sign-ons. The draft is similar to what we shared last month, but it's still being worked on.
So we can pass this on. This is actually a community support letter.
This is collecting like signatures. So you can pass it on us like, so like what, January?
Yeah, if it's helpful, I can also put the link to the draft letter like in there if people want to read it. But if as long as they sign it, or as long as like they like agree, like, yes, I want my name for this purpose, then I also send a copy of the letter before we even submit it to them so that they can like, they know what it is written.
Right. I would say so.
Crystal, I can show it to our North Shore community. I have it here. Can I do it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's there for the public to share. Yeah. And my number is in there in case folks are like, I don't want to, like, if they want more information, I'm happy to talk with them. But if there is feedback, like if you want me to change the form in it, or like things that I should include instead, happy to, right now that it's fresh, we can do that. Yeah.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, grant management with the County of Riverside, and I'll pass it to Anjanette.
Good night, everybody. So my update will be really quick. We received our partner submission for invoice 5, not in writing. So currently we're reviewing what was received and going through all of the supporting documents and et cetera. So a real update on where we are on the rundown will be provided in the next meeting.
Any questions on the budget, comments, concerns? Oh, that's the budget. She managed the budget for the project.
Oh.
So next item, we'll discuss the year-end meeting.
Yes.
December.
Yeah, we'll skip that. Yeah, it sounded like Desert Recreation District is gonna have a big update for December, so I guess I'm hearing we're not gonna cancel it. Right? You're like, please. But I guess it's just what does the committee think? Like, do we keep the December meeting? Is that something for January?
And we can postpone to January too, whatever's convenient, and we'll have most attendance, so.
Oh,
Maybe postpone till January.
Is that still okay with the timeline, Ken?
Yeah.
For the.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, yes, somebody, so does anybody else would like to? Okay. So. Okay, so move to cancel the December meeting, but we'll have our January and the main and planning to have updates from Desert Recreation District. Yeah.
Do you have a date for the January meeting?
I do, what's the third Monday?
Oh.
So what is that?
19th.
January 19th? Isn't it the third Monday? Yes.
I know that there's gonna be about the center here in North Shore, so I'm just wondering, I know like next meeting would be in Mecca, because we have it, would it be easier for folks to attend the meeting?
Oh, good catch.
We can change it. We can change the location to it's not an issue.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So cancel the December meeting, meet in January. Sorry, what was the date for that?
19.
It's Martin Luther's picture. So I don't know if that impacts anybody.
So January, we'll meet again, January 19. We'll hear updates about the Resilience Center, and the location will be at the same place, North Shore Beach and Yacht Club. Yeah, at 6, keeping the 6 p.m. start time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll meet in January, so we'll move on to the next item. Is there any special requests that wants to be added to the future meeting in January? We're good.
If there are any, just email me.
Okay, so we'll move on to any last minute public comments, questions, concerns. This is your last chance. Últimos comentarios que quieran hacer. So we'll thank you, appreciate for the meeting and look forward to incorporating more of your feedback and making a difference in our community. Que tengan buena noche.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm going to close out the Zoom meeting, but thank you so much to everyone.
Nos vemos más tarde. Acá.